I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a mod for Valheim. First thing you're going to need to do is right click, manage, browse local files, have that open. Then head over to the description, go to the first link, download BepInEx pack for Valheim, do a manual download. Once you have that downloaded, copy everything inside of it and paste it into your Valheim location from Steam. Next thing you're going to have to do is download Visual Studio Community, and then for that download ILSpy either as an add-on for Visual Studio or as a standalone app through GitHub. Download the binaries one. So for the next part, what we're going to have to do is open up Visual Studio, create a new project, filter by C#, and set the project type as library. Scroll down until you find class library.net framework. Set a location, set the framework to 4.61, and then name the project to whatever you want. Create. Let it create. Instantly rename the class. Rename it to your mod's name. NoMoreRoof is gonna be mine. Click yes. Next thing we're gonna do is go up here, open folder in File Explorer, create a folder called libs. Open that up. Go back to the Valheim directory on Steam. Go into BepInEx, Core, select 0, Harmony, and BepInEx. Copy, pasted it into the libs folder. Go to Valheim Data, Managed, Assembly Valheim, UnityEngine.dll, and UnityEngine.CoreModule.dll. Copy, paste, go into Visual Studio, References, add reference. You're not going to see anything here. Click Browse. Go into the same location that you created the libs folder. Select them all. Click Add. OK. Boom. So now we just say using BepInEx and using Harmony Library and lastly using Unity Engine. That's just telling it what we're going to be using, and we're going to be extending this off of base Unity plugin. And one other thing we're going to have to do up here is tell the program when to run. So we only want it to run when Valheim is being ran, so we do that by doing BepIn process, and then you type Valheim.exe, and this add-on will only run if it's being ran by Valheim. Next thing we're gonna do is tell BepInEx that this is a plugin, and you do that by calling BepIn plugin and feeding it a GUID, a mod name, and a version. You define those as constant strings. I'm just copying over from my other screen because I already know what I'm going to name mine, but you just fill in what you want in here with your info. And then I create a harmony, and you feed it a mod GUID. After that you create a void awake, which, if you know anything about Unity, is what gets called before a program starts, and you just tell Harmony to patch everything when that gets called. Next thing we're gonna have to do is go over here on the right on references, right click, open an ILSpy, click this plus here, this one here. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a patch for a crafting station. So you find crafting station, and the two things that I'm going to be overriding are going to be mcraft require roof and mcraft require fire. And in the place that I'm going to be setting those in is in start, because that's the first thing that gets called in this crafting station script. So the way I'm going to do that is by creating a class. Once again, I'm just going to copy everything in here, but I'll explain it. I'm going to be creating a class. You can name this whatever you want. And then on top of that, you're going to be declaring that it's a Harmony patch. And for me, it's going to be a type of crafting station like I showed you. This script is called crafting station. And the method that I want to override is start. And that's what you see here. This is the name of the method. And then inside of that, inside of the class that you created, you declare a Harmony prefix or a postfix, depends what you want to do. You would have to read up on that. But for this example, it's going to be a prefix. And it's going to be a static void set crafting patch. You can name this whatever you want. One key thing here is you have to reference the stuff you want to switch. So as you see, I have to reference boolean mcraft require roof and mcraft require fire. But if you look over here, they don't have 3 dash lines in the front. The reason this does have it over here is so you're telling Harmony to get the reference of the initial created boolean, and then you set those to false. So that makes it so you don't need to use the roof or the fire or a fire near your crafting station to use it. There's gonna be a couple patches for beds, and another one I'm just gonna copy this in here. We're gonna define it as a Harmony patch. It's gonna be bed patches as a prefix. Type of bed, check fire. Let's go check that. So it's gonna be bed. Where's check fire? Check fire. And it's gonna be a private boolean. So what you need to do for that is when you want to override, let's say, see that this always returns true unless you are not near fire. The way to override this is to tell Harmony to not run this at all and run your custom one. So the way you do this is you do a static boolean, you can name it whatever you want, and you reference the type of result that you want to edit. It could be string, but for this it's a boolean, and you do double underscore result, and this is telling Harmony to take whatever the result of the initial of this method is and set it to whatever you want. And I set result to true, so it's always going to say that there's a fire nearby. And what this return false does is that it tells Harmony not to run this method, check fire. Instead, it will run this one. And it basically does that for all of them. It's basically the same thing. Check wet. So you could go to sleep while wet. Check exposure. You could go to sleep without a roof or anything like that. It's basically the same thing. Check wet, returns. Check exposure, returns. The only reason I didn't change check enemy is because it makes sense that you can't sleep with enemies nearby. We're now basically done, so you can close this, but I just want to remind you guys one thing, that anything that you don't own, you have to remove from your mod before you release it to the public. The only reason I'm not doing it here is this is just a tutorial, but you would have to do so before you put this up on any website to download. But now what we do, since we already have everything set up, you do a build NoMoreRoof. You go over to your project location, go to bin, debug, select the DLL of whatever your project was called. Go into Steam, Valheim, the Valheim location, go to BepInEx, plugins, paste it in there. Go to Steam, play, and you should see a console pop up. You could go back to it without a problem. And the way to tell if your program is working is that it's going to show up loading NoMoreRoof by Steven DLL, and then the version that you said. Now let's go into the game so I can show you guys that it's actually working. Let me show you guys that the program is working. Let me make my character wet. There you go. Let me go try to sleep at night outside with no roof or fire. Boom. Now so you can tell the program is working as intended, because normally you can't do that. That's basically the tutorial, but in the description I'm gonna have some links to other communities. Well, not other communities, but to the Discord modding community, because most of the stuff that I just told you guys I found over there. So shout out to them. Make sure to check them out.